Hey everyone, welcome to the Underswell. I'm Derek Sabori. Thanks for being here. Three, two, one, we're live. Greg, welcome to the show.
Derek, good to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you so much for making time to do this. I'm really glad to have you here, and I think we're gonna have a great conversation.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's Friday. I was just commenting on your Aloha Friday shirt. It's always good. One, like you said, I always feel like I have to put up on a button-up shirt.
You got, I was gonna say, you got the top button done there, or
no,
you got one
I
open?
don't. I don't, okay. But I might. But hey, happy Friday though. It's Friday, and you ready for the weekend? You got any big plans?
Oh man, my wife and I bought a house like a year and a half ago. We were lucky enough to do that, an older house, and so I have discovered that it is true that there is always something that needs to be done in home ownership. So
no kidding. And wait as time passes too, because I'll walk around the house sometimes, whether it's outside, and you just see things, and you're like, it's like a ship or a bridge that's always needed to be painted. Like from once you get to the end, you're like, oh, I got to go back and do it again.
Yeah, and for me, trying to prioritize what thing can wait, like versus like what catches my eye and like what is easy to fix. So there's always something. So I think this weekend will be the yard, a little bit of bike riding, and I might get a little bit of light construction done on the side of our house. So we'll see.
Well, there we go. All right. Are you here in Southern California as well?
No, I'm up in Seattle.
Seattle. Oh, that's right.
Was born in Southern California, Glendale, and spent some time there and San Diego, but then have been really up in the Pacific Northwest since the mid-90s. So
cool. All right. Is it still feeling like summer up there? What's going on weather-wise?
It has been until like today. It's actually getting a little bit cooler, but we've had like the mid-70s. Seattle's like amazing in September.
Yeah.
The colors start to change. It still kind of stays in the 70s. The rain will hit in about 4 weeks along with the darkness. But right now, I think we'll have some sun popping out here pretty quick.
So you got to squeeze in the last bit of summer before that rain comes.
Yeah, before it's, dark when you go to work and dark when you leave work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, everybody, I'm here today with Greg Ehrlich, Director of Business Development at MiiR and Entertainment and Emerging Channels, full-time relationship builder, former private professional chef, former traveling musician, sales professional. Anything I missed? We've got a lot to cover in there, Greg.
No, it's been a very random career to date, and I'm sure there'll be a few more arcs down the road.
Yeah, and I should have, this is unprofessional of me, I should have checked. I think I assumed MiiR is it MiiR? Is that
yeah,
what I'm saying?
That's correct.
Okay, good. All right, well, that could have
nailed it.
That could have gone wrong. I want to dive in and talk about what you do, kind of how you got here, the lessons you've learned along the way. But first, you told us that you've got the house going on, but what else keeps you busy personally these days? I just like to kind of paint a picture of a little bit about you. Are you still cooking a lot? What are you doing?
I was a professional chef for a few years, and when I was doing that, I hated cooking in my free time. And now that I've left that, I've really kind of rediscovered the joy in cooking, and I'm sure we'll get into that later. But my wife and I love to cook. We eat out about once a week. We do it because we both enjoy cooking together. Also, just kind of a great way to save some money. So we'll probably be making something delicious this weekend. I'm not sure what yet.
Nice.
But yeah, excited to do some cooking. And then, yeah, like I said, I'll probably try to get a bike ride in. So while the weather's still nice.
Yeah, cool. Well, Greg, you and I were connected thanks to Jeremy Casebeer, a.k.a. the Lorax. Former mustachier. Fellow mustachier, former sustainability lead and pro athlete on the AVP, current climate professional. But he thought we were two good people that should be connected, and here we are. So I'm always fascinated by the power of networking and connections like this. For you, how important has networking and personal connections like that been to your career?
Yeah, it's been paramount. It's one of the things I love about my job is like meeting new people and kind of connecting, whether it's for like business purposes or just like personally connecting. But everything I've landed in my career a lot of times has been through the power of like referral or like building a network. So yeah, I can't emphasize that enough. Since college, like really networking has played a huge role in where I am and what I do.
Do you have sort of an intentional strategy about it? Is it just maybe like the length of career and the network that you've built, that you can rely on? Or do you kind of force yourself to get out there and go to events, do mixers, and reach out to new people? What's your strategy?
That's a really good question. I'm really glad you asked that. I went to a mixing event probably 6 years ago where I was talking to a guy, and about 45 seconds in, he asked for my card and said, I need to make the most of this time and I need to meet as many people as possible. Okay. And he just kind of excused himself, like, hard stop.
Yeah.
And I was kind of taken aback, and it was really apparent that he was there to meet as many people as possible. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think there is a type of networking that can be really off-putting to people.
Yeah.
When it feels really opportunistic or, what's in it for me?
Yeah, transactional.
I think my success of networking has been a genuine interest in people and a genuine interest in their success, and the pieces have fallen into place. Yeah, so like getting to know people and trying to be excited about what they're doing and having like a genuine curiosity about them.
Yep.
Typically, to me, has led to a broader network and like success.
Yeah, and probably deeper, more meaningful relationships. And I find myself the same too, right? I'll go to an event, and before you know it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've only talked with you, Greg. Like, sorry, I feel bad but right. I'm curious about you. We get into a deep conversation because that's how I like to approach it as well. But I think that works. I think that works.
We'll get into it a bit. I came from the music business, and networking is so important there. But musicians, God bless them, a lot of them are very good at instruments and sometimes not very good with people. And so it can feel so inauthentic when somebody's trying to network with you and you just know they're looking for a gig or looking for your connection to like another band. And it's really off-putting. So for me, like especially in music, being genuinely excited about other people's bands, other people's work, like what they're working on, what they're excited about, even if I'm kind of interested potentially in like a business relationship, still having that genuine curiosity about them, to me feels like really authentic and open, but also a great way to open doors.
Yeah. And I feel like, speaking of doors, I feel like it's a side door approach where it's like, yeah, we all need something. We all have to we're all selling something or pushing something, but it's like the front door is make that relationship, ask about them, be genuinely curious, get to know them. Side door is like, well, maybe one day there's an opportunity to perhaps further my goals.
And I think being candid about it, like, hey, like this is what I'm looking for. Like that way you're not dishonest, but at the same time too, just a genuine curiosity for people and an excitement to connect.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, you've got a fascinating and as we might say, a great nonlinear career story. You've built a great reputation working with brands, like you said, in the music industry, with brands like Bravado, Universal Music Group, Live Nation, Nintendo, other key accounts. Now you're creating purpose-driven merchandise for artists like Coldplay, U2, Kiss, Bonnie Raitt, all these great artists, which is so cool. You probably met some really interesting, fascinating people. Give us a little insight, though. What's a day in the life look like right now for you over there at MiiR?
Yeah, a day in the life right now. We're coming into fall holiday season, and MiiR, we're in the business of merchandise. And so for us right now, day in the life is very much just getting our customers set up for the end of, kind of Q4 with holiday season. Everybody wants to buy water bottles and drinkware for gifts and at retail. And likewise, a lot of the work I do is for product that's going to be delivered 6, 9, 12 months out. So I'm already actively working with like a lot of clients on, end of 2026 kind of merchandising plans. So there's a lot of specific product development kind of in the day of my life of working with different artists and creators and entertainment properties to develop merchandise through MiiR's product. And then simultaneously, I balance that with always hunting and trying to kind of find new opportunities and new business and new partnerships. So generally, most of my days is a balance of both. Yeah.
What's the trick to sort of differentiating yourself from any others? I mean, that space, that water bottle space got really crowded really quickly. Yeah. You guys have continued to stand out. You got a hack for us on how you differentiate yourself?
In 30 seconds, that's my sales.
Yeah, right.
MiiR has had a lot of success just kind of being a pretty authentic brand. We are husband and wife owned. We're the last kind of big drinkware brand that is independently owned, whereas all the other really big players of the game have private equity or a venture capital or publicly traded. And because of that, they have accountability to shareholders and to outside parties on how they do business. MiiR, being privately owned, has really been able to kind of cut our own path and how we work. So MiiR is really well known in the drinkware space for a top tier, just like best in class commitment to responsibility in manufacturing, which is how you and I got connected.
Yeah.
MiiR really leads the drinkware pack in sustainability when it comes to carbon offsetting, materials, packaging. So that's a really big thing. I think top level for us, where like the Yetis and the Hydro Flasks or like the Stanleys are really focused on like big box retail, like Target and Walmart, and you'll see the big wall of like all, you know, the blank product on the shelves.
Yeah.
MiiR is really focused on co-branded partnerships. So companies come to us where they want to put their logo on our drinkware, and they might use it to give all their employees like a wellness gift. Like, we want everybody to hydrate more at the office.
Yeah.
Or it might be somebody like Nintendo that wants to make character specific bottles and put it into retail.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a wide variant. So MiiR really focuses on those co-branded partnerships, and that's where we excel, is servicing customers like Nintendo or Starbucks, or even down to like mom and pop coffee shops who, you know, they want to buy 48 cups at a time, and they want to make little cute camp cups and put their logo on it and sell it when they sell a cup of coffee. So we work with companies of all sizes, but really our differentiator in the market is our willingness and abilities to co-brand. Nobody can really touch us in that space.
Well, for those that are listening that need co-branded product like that, we're gonna know where to find you. So
yeah,
we'll
please
put a link
reach
in
out
there. Yeah, exactly. This really sounds like an enviable role, though. It sounds like a cool role. So I want to know where it all started, how you got here. Did you always imagine yourself here working in sort of this biz dev space? Rewind a little for us and take us back to where this all starts.
Yeah. My first job out of college was not business development. I lasted for a month. I applied to a role that I found on Craigslist for marketing coordinator.
Okay.
And I didn't really know what I wanted to do graduating from college. I had a minor in marketing. I've always loved business, like always been a little bit entrepreneurial and enjoyed selling, but I was always very intrigued by marketing. Found a marketing coordinator role online and ended up at just this bizarre company that had a little bit of a personality cult. I don't really know how to describe it. It was literally like out of the movie Boiler Room.
Okay.
Where they had a sales floor and they had guys cold calling for 12, 14 hours a day.
Oh, jeez.
Really aggressive. We were expected to work anywhere from 16 to 20 hours a day.
Whoa.
Anything less than 16 wasn't good enough.
Were you getting paid well for it?
Well, the salary on Craigslist was posted that was pretty competitive if you were working 40 hours a week. I did the math and I ended up working about 120 hours a week.
Oh my gosh.
At that company, and I made it a month. It was wild. There was some just like really concerning red flags, a lot of paranoia with the leadership.
Wow.
One of the memorable stories is our company serviced the government a lot in like contracts.
Okay.
And they closed down the office to sweep for bugs after we lost a contract.
Oh my gosh.
And so just like some really wild stories in like 3 weeks, where being fresh out of college, I was so intrigued.
I was going to say, well, and this is your
company.
Yeah, this is your foray into the business world. You're thinking like, is this what it's all about? Like, what have I done here?
Yeah, it was really weird and really awful. And they were pitting employees against each other, and you know, they'd have us take personality tests, and they were very clear that certain personality types wouldn't succeed at the company. And then they would put the employees into small groups and have them identify which of their colleagues they thought embodied those undesirable personality traits. Just some really weird, unhealthy stuff. So with some coaching from my parents, I sat at my desk on a Friday and kept hitting refresh on my Bank of America account until the paycheck cleared. And then I bounced and stood up and pretty much walked out.
And I would imagine, which good call, good job, Mom and Dad. And I think I would imagine this is a company that shall remain nameless. Is that right?
Yeah, they tend to be pretty litigious. So
okay, all right,
we'll keep it. But I had ordered T-shirts from that company to put the company's logo on it, and I had ordered those T-shirts from some friends of mine who had started a company in college, creating branded merchandise, swag, T-shirts, apparel, pins for mostly like the Greek system, like a company called Codis. Okay. And I'd ordered T-shirts from them in college for like my dorm and for other projects. And I knew that they'd been starting to service like corporate accounts like Boeing, and it was a small company of like nine people at the time.
Wow.
So after I quit this sales job or this marketing job, I called them and said, "Hey, I'm out. Crazy story, but here's who you need to contact to get paid." And they said, "Well, actually, we're looking to hire 2 salespeople, like our first full-time 2 salespeople. Would you have any interest?"
Oh, there you go.
And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to sell branded merchandise like swag. It wasn't particularly sexy, but I didn't have anything else lined up. So I went in and interviewed, and it was a tiny company, but like I loved the energy. I knew some of the people already there, and I jumped in really quick, like once I learned more about the industry, and that started business development for me. My role was 2006. So, and we were a company of 9, and we were the first 2 salespeople that, I was in on. So I was literally handed a phone book and said, go. There was no BDRs or SDRs at that point, or sequencing on email. So I was dialing anywhere from 40 to 80 people a day.
Old school.
Cold call.
Yeah.
Just like smile and dial, which was hard getting started. But a really interesting shift happened about 3 or 4 months in, where I actually really started enjoying cold calling. I got good at it. It became a game. I kind of knew how to do it, and I could anticipate people's objections, and I had great counters to those objections.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, something that most people hate, I actually ended up really enjoying.
It's a valuable thing, though, because I hear that, and I think in life in general, right, you're going to have, I guess, you're swinging a lot. That's basically that analogy of like, you got to get up to bat. You're going to make a lot of swings before, and you're going to miss. You're going to miss. Yep. You're going to miss before you start hitting those runs. And you got used to that. And I'm sure you carry that skill with you. You still have that strength, would you say?
Yeah, I do. I love to reach out to people I've never talked to, but from a sales perspective. And a lot of it these days are on LinkedIn, or I do a lot of emailing. Actually, I'll pick up the phone every now and then, but it's such a valuable strength to be able to just, and it's not for everybody. It's a very difficult skill to acquire and get good at. But for me, being able to kind of fearlessly reach out to a CEO, whether it's of a 10-person company or a $500 million company, and be able to kind of tailor what I want to say to that person based on their persona and what I'm trying to do. It's a really great puzzle. And like when I solve it, I feel so good.
What bit of advice do you have for somebody who's like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible at that. I can't do that. Is it being kind of thick skinned to be able to take the no or the no replies, or is it the crafting of the initial outreach? Like what's the
It's all of it. I mean, I think there's very few people who like love it from the beginning. For me, I had colleagues, and we kind of leaned on each other to learn like what was working. I did a lot of research and reading at the time. It was of cold calling books and like techniques and perspectives, which was really, really helpful. Being such an extroverted guy, though, it's really hard to get hung up on or sworn at or rejected. I want everybody to like me. So that was an area that has taken some time, and still takes time to kind of get used to the fact that being in sales, if somebody says no, it's not because they don't like you as a person.
It's not personal.
Yeah, it's not personal. Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah, hopefully. Not always. So from there, you kind of conquer this smile and dial, role. You're excelling there. Do you stay there for a while? Where do things go from there?
Yeah, so I'm at CODIS. I absolutely loved it. My primary role was finding new business and then kind of managing some key accounts that I had landed. It was great. It was really exciting. I kind of fell into it, but ended up leading CODIS in the craft beer segment. This was in like 2009 when craft beer was just blowing up and the recession was tanking.
Yeah.
So my book of business in like finance and construction and all of that was crumbling as the world was going into the Great Recession. But simultaneously, craft beer was blowing up and doing really, really well. So that was a segment that I was working in. Simultaneously, I was playing music on the side. Just for fun. Seattle guy. I feel like everybody in Seattle's got a band on the side.
You got to be able to play.
I was playing in a few different bands.
What's your instrument?
I play a piano and organ and keyboards.
Yeah.
So I was playing in a few different bands, and I met this guy, Alan Stone, and I just kind of knew the moment I met him so there was something really special about him. And
where'd you meet him at?
Power and networking. So a buddy of mine from college was producing Alan's first album.
Okay.
And he randomly called me and said, "Hey, I'm working with this guy, Alan. He's really cool. You want to come hang out? It'd be all great if we could just catch up."
All right.
And there was no work involved. There wasn't an offer for me to play piano. It was just come hang out.
Hanging out. The old college alumni network.
Yeah, the alumni network. So I met Alan and was floored and basically was able to kind of get into his band. This was when he was playing to 100 people a night.
Wow.
And was doing that on the side for about 2 years. And then we created a YouTube video that ended up going moderately viral. And from that, it created enough buzz where I kind of had this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I could potentially quit my job and tour the world and do full-time music.
Yeah.
And that had always been a dream of mine to be in a band and tour. And I was in my mid-20s at that point, and I'd already been successful on the sales side. And I kind of knew, like, this is something I have to jump for and go for, that I'm never going to have this opportunity again. I wasn't married at the time. Like, I didn't own a house. It was like, if there was ever a better time to go try something completely crazy, that would be the time. Yeah. And so
you could always get another job selling stuff.
And that's what I told myself.
Right.
Like, people who are good at selling should theoretically always be able to get another job at some point selling. So I knew I could come back to corporate, but I knew that chasing my dream of professional music would be a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah. Ended up, I was with Alan full time for 6-7 years.
Wow. That's a run.
Yeah. It was a really cool run. Got to do a lot of really cool things. Play Conan and, tour with Dave Matthews Band and get to see the world. I could do a lot of name dropping, but really got to cross a lot of really meaningful things and cool things off the bucket list. It was incredible.
How do you decide that time then is up? How do you know it's run its course? Because that seems like something you could just kind of like, hey, I'm going to do this forever. I got to ride this until the wheels come off.
Yeah, totally. It was great. And I think I got out at a time where I was still just so excited and so grateful to be a part of it. For me, getting into my early 30s, it didn't feel like a sustainable life. We were traveling anywhere from 250 to 330 days a year, different city every night.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a little bit more stable and be able to kind of come home. At that point, I'd seen and traveled more than I ever thought I would. And I absolutely loved it. But I kind of knew that wanting to like buy a house and settle down and meet somebody and get married, potentially, hopefully, was likely going to be pretty difficult to do with that lifestyle. And music was great, but it's also a very challenging financially industry. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to kind of cross off my goals and kind of have more of like a steady paycheck and steady income and an ability to really save. So it was tough because with a lot of musicians, kind of they make the vow of poverty essentially.
Yeah. I was going to say this sounds like rational, responsible thinking. What do you attribute that to? Is that just sort of you knew that there was something else that you wanted in life or something different? Was it your parents or like how do you get to this state of mind, would you say?
No, that was me kind of being realistic.
Yeah.
I've also always had a love for food. I've always loved to cook since I was a little kid. And so much so that when I was on tour, I started like trying to find ways to like cook for the band. Okay. I was able to connect with some people at KitchenAid randomly at a music festival and pitch them on this harebrained idea of something called the Taste Case.
Which
I had
was
this vision of like a traveling kitchen that I could just roll out of the tour bus and it would have an oven and a crock pot and a blender. And I could just plug that in the venue or in a parking lot somewhere and make meals for friends in the band and whoever. And KitchenAid, to my surprise, was like, we absolutely love this idea.
Well, it's a great idea.
Let us know what you want. We'll give you anything. And I said, anything? And they said, yeah, anything. So KitchenAid was very generous, and we pretty much got all their small appliances. And I built the Taste Case and would start cooking for fans and friends and bands on the road. And it was a great way for me to kind of like relax and deal with stress. For me, cooking, I love to serve, and I've always loved to serve. And I think there's kind of a parallel though with my sales career, but the ability to be able to lay food down in front of somebody and feed them felt really, really good. So hitting kind of my early 30s, this desire for more stability, to be home more, but also this kind of insatiable itch to jump into food and see what would happen. The more I made food and the more I did it, the more I felt like I was really more creatively fulfilled creating food than I actually was on the music side.
Oh.
So that was, I'm like, this is really intriguing. And I'd always kind of wanted to be a chef or run a restaurant. And it got to this point where I was like, this is something I have to once again scratch. Like I got to see what's here. So I leapt from being in this band to opening up my own kind of catering private chef business.
What did the band think? Were they like, you're crazy? Or were they like, hey, this is great?
No, they were so great. It was hard. They're like my best friends. And I just knew it was going to be like leaving kind of an era and some really close friendships behind and starting new. But they also like knew how much I love to cook and serve people. So they were fully supportive.
So you decided to go out on your own. You're starting in this new small business. Did you go out with clients already? Like, by then were you like, hey, I can do this because I know I've got built-in clients, or did you build it from scratch?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
When I wasn't touring, I started doing private chef gigs on the side to kind of make money while I wasn't on the road. So in professional music, there's a lot of different ways you can get compensated, but typically speaking, if you're not touring, you're not making money.
Yeah.
Unless you're like in the studio, like working for somebody. And I was a live guy. I was a hired gun on the road. I didn't do a lot of studio work. So I had some clients that I was cooking for on the side, but also knew I could like hustle enough to kind of build a business and start building a book of business once I made the jump.
Got it.
So I ended up landing my first gig out of the band. I ended up being a private chef for a really wealthy family out of Dallas in commercial real estate, and moved to Idaho to live on their 150-acre lakeside property.
Whoa.
And be their in-house private chef for a summer.
That's like an Uber private chef kind of thing.
Yeah, it was Uber
like
private chef.
Yeah.
That was pretty unique. There was, some great memories there and some truly terrifying ones. But the goal was to kind of get back to Seattle and be a little bit more steady. So I leveraged that to kind of start finding more opportunities. And at the peak of it, ended up doing kind of a mix of like catering for like weddings and small parties. And then also being like a private chef and like meal delivery for a small group of tech executives.
Okay. Yeah. And so this, I mean, obviously we know this, the spoiler alert here, we know this ends at some point, but when do you get to a point where you're like, this has run its course as well? Because you've kind of had these two dream moments where you're like, you're fulfilling your dream, but maybe it's not what you're expecting it is or hope it is, or what happens here?
Food was really difficult from just what's involved, the finances of it, the labor itself. I learned probably one of the most valuable lessons of my career, though, in food, in that I was cooking for people. I'd be at their houses cooking or at my house, but I was starting to feel just like really lonely. And I'd connect with friends from time to time, but also I was working so much cooking that it didn't really allow to connect with my community. So started getting really, really lonely and just kind of like depressed, really. And had this realization that I am such an extrovert and I love to be around people. And I was in the back room of somebody's kitchen by myself cooking for 8-9 hours a day.
Yeah, the party's going on out there, and you're like,
and I had earbuds in listening to music, or I'd go grocery shopping like by myself, and so just wasn't engaging with people. And that was a transformative realization of unhappiness, of just like, I gotta be around people. Building my own business was like, the catering and chef business was successful, but with it came a ton of stress of you're doing everything. You're doing accounting, you're trying to find a new business, you're buying groceries, hiring staff, like all the things.
Yeah.
And the realization that I could probably go back to a sales job potentially and work really hard, but know at the end of the day I could probably leave that work at the office, or at least most of it, and have somebody else sign the paycheck and like me not have to worry about it. That became really alluring.
Yeah. So you see that you're like, you do come back full circle. That idea of like, well, I can always go back and get another sales job is then it's right there. How do you dealing with that sort of, I don't know, was there anything particular that you did to deal with that mental stress, that depression, getting through it all? Or was it just sort of realizing and going, I just got to get out of here and change my environment?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in therapy. Always have been. So just like candidly, did a lot of work in therapy to kind of figure that out. Had some great friends and family who kind of guided me in that, or guided me outside of that to kind of affirm some of the things I was feeling.
Yeah.
What was really interesting for me is when I started cooking for money, I felt like the creativity just got zapped right out of me.
Oh.
I felt like the joy of like serving people and creating something. Once I tied money to it for whatever reason, it really just locked me up. And so I was really bothered by that and kind of didn't want to lose that love, but also didn't feel fulfilled by it anymore. And so kind of all those things, in conjunction with like, this is a really hard thing. It's not hitting my financial goals. It was just kind of this eye-opening moment of, I think, I love to be around people. I love to network. I love to sell. Here are kind of the financial goals I have. Maybe sales would be kind of a nice thing to get back into.
I really appreciate the self-awareness that you seem to have, like kind of hitting these moments and just kind of really being able to listen to what, life is telling you or yourself is telling you. I think that's a big thing, and that's a good takeaway for people. I wonder, when you look back, those are really entrepreneurial, unstable kind of roles, like you said. You're now getting into something more stable, but how do those compare? I guess, what do you miss? Is there anything that you miss now about those days? Or are you just like, no, I like what I do now because
I'm pretty happy to leave like cooking behind.
Okay.
At least for money. Now that I'm not getting paid for it, I feel like that creative spark is like returned. And I just love like spending time with my wife or like with friends, like having like a barbecue and like making something. So for the most part, I really don't miss it. I'd say the one thing about food I miss the most would just be, you're a part of people's special moments.
Yeah.
So I was often making anniversary dinners for like 2 people and like serving them. And I've always believed in the power of food to like really create community. I feel like people will kind of remember like that special anniversary dinner, like their favorite restaurant, or like the picnic that they had when they, proposed to their wife or whatever it is. And so I always wanted to be a part of those moments. And that was fulfilling on the cooking side. So that would be probably the one thing I miss is kind of helping people, and albeit a small way, like create a special moment in life.
Yeah, it's a small anecdote. I did. We won an auction item for a private chef experience years ago. My 40th birthday, we finally used it. And it was so special, like having a small team come in and they're just catered to you. And it just feels, it's such a memorable event. And that team has really become an important part of my, emotional life or my memories, because like you're saying, it was really, really special. So yeah, I'm sure you had a lot of great moments. Well, Greg, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into there's another transition. So we go back into sales. I want to hear about that as well, but I want to kind of know what's been driving you this whole time. What's underneath the surface? I call it the underswell. What's your driving force? So hang tight. We'll do that. I'll ask you that, and I'll get some advice for career builders. So we'll be right back. Talking with professionals like my guest today is always inspiring, and a reminder that more of us need foundational sustainability knowledge so we can help our brands and companies continue to grow and profit in the most sustainable way. What do you think? Does your team have the confidence and competence to work in and contribute to this exciting space? I often find that the answer is, well, not yet. That's why, after more than a decade deep in the sustainability profession, I developed a set of courses and trainings to do just that. The School of Understanding is a self-paced online sustainability course made for professionals and brands who want to catch up and keep up with the expectations of today's marketplace. If you're not fluent in the language of sustainability yet, you're falling behind. So let's fix that. Enroll yourself or your team now and get caught up in the exciting opportunities that are being created in sustainable and profitable business. Greg, I call this show, like I said before the break, I call it the underswell because I really believe that underneath all the big moments, the things that show up on our resume, it's the small things in between that really drive us underneath the surface. So for you, what is your underswell?
Yeah, I think it's a few different things. For me, I think the common arc, or like the thing that drives me, is really like a love of people and relationship. I've always been the most successful like when I believe in something that I'm selling, or like believing in like a product that I'm selling for a company, that it can genuinely help a company or help people. So I think kind of like a desire to serve is big for me.
Yeah.
I think the underswell for me too, of just genuinely like loving people and embracing them and supporting them and being around them, has always been like paramount of kind of where I've wanted to be in an organization. And then I think finally too, I'm pretty ADD. My wife will definitely attest. And so having career that for me, like I've really identified that new challenges and new opportunities on the day to day really put gas in my tank. I would have a really hard time like doing accounting and like running the same set of numbers. And I'm sure every month is different for an accountant. So there's kind of something there.
Exactly.
But for me, like being able to face new challenges, new opportunities, new tasks in the day to day has been like so important and kind of a common thread in like what I'm doing. I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. Yeah, it does. No, that's really insightful, I think. I do want to know, before the break, you were saying, you get to this point when you've got your private chef company, kind of get to the end of that, you decide, hey, it's time to go back into sales. So what's the leap then? And is it another connection that you've got with somebody? Does your network provide you with your next opportunity?
It did. It was not a shock, but it was surprisingly difficult for me to get interviews coming out of the chef world. I'd had a successful career in sales on my resume.
Yeah.
And I had a very, very distinct bullet points on my resume of being a professional musician and accomplishing some great things. And even as I was a professional musician, I was doing some really great things with brands like KitchenAid and Palladium Shoes and Lagunitas Brewing. I'd put all these kind of sales-minded partnerships together, like in the context of the band while I was touring. Okay. So for me, it made a lot of sense. Like if somebody would just like see my story, they could see that there's a consistent thread of sales and like strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, that was not apparently
the case,
readily apparent to most people I was interviewing with. So that was a big surprise to me, was how difficult it was to find something coming out of running a successful business, being a successful sales guy. I landed my job back in corporate through an old colleague at my first job, CODIS. She introduced me and they had a need. So once again, kind of the power of keeping in touch in networks.
Yeah. And I think that can be, I guess, humbling too, when you feel like, hey, I've done all these right things. I've done all these great things. You're a touring musician with a high profile band. You're a private chef with these high profile events. And then all of a sudden get to a point where you're like, wait, nobody's calling me back. Why are they not seeing, what I have to offer? It's easy to see you now and be like, oh, well, that's easy. Like Greg's amazing at X, Y, and Z. Oh, that must have been frustrating, though. And I think, was it just patience? How did you go about it? Or did you just pick up the phone and go back to Smile and Dial and start calling everybody you knew? What was your approach?
There was a lot of networking and just like a lot of like reaching out to people and asking for help and, just saying, here's what I want to do. Here's what I'm looking to do. But eventually I kind of just had to take something too and just kind of jump in of like, I'm at a point where I can't be choosy anymore. Like I'm gonna take an opportunity if it comes, and I found one.
Did that end up being a good one? Did that play out well for you?
Yeah, I was there for a few years prior to MiiR. I enjoyed it. Some really good learning lessons too at that opportunity on just like how I sell versus specific to like certain products. I think certain products and certain companies have certain approaches, and that will be successful. And other companies, of course, have like a different style or a different offering that appeals. And I was successful at that company, but also realized that kind of some of the core things I needed to be truly successful at that company, I didn't have. And so that was like an insightful learning for me.
So did you acquired those skills then, or you realized it was time to?
So at the company I was at, it was in branded merchandise, and they provided a very great product for the right type of clientele, but it was a pretty niche clientele. And to get that clientele is serviced by people in that industry who have been doing that for 20, 30 years. So they've got deep Rolodexes of like established relationships where they're consistently in touch, and those established relationships are rock solid. And so me coming into like back into an industry where I didn't have those specific relationships made it really, really difficult to be successful at the level I wanted to be.
Yeah, that's fair. How then does the job at MiiR come about? Where
power and networking?
Yes, the theme.
My brother-in-law is really close friends with the founders of MiiR, and I actually went to college with the founders of MiiR and knew them at the time in college, but just hadn't really kept in regular touch. But my brother-in-law mentioned that MiiR was kind of looking for some new salespeople, that they needed some help in some certain areas, and I got an interview there and ended up at MiiR.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of college, then, you mentioned earlier that you went to, Seattle. Well, you got a business degree, right? It's the school, the SBGE, it's called, at Seattle Pacific.
Yeah. I don't even remember what that stands for. Business, government, and economics.
Yeah.
There it is.
Well, and so I wonder, you've already mentioned the power of your alumni network, which I think has been good. That's always great. But how important was that experience, your college experience, to you, would you say, in your career? And I kind of put that question there for anybody who maybe is second guessing it these days, or wondering if they should go to college, if they should stay in college.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
That's kind of a two-sided question.
Sure.
For me, it was very important in my career, not so much in hard skills, but soft skills.
Okay.
I think people can learn, for the most part, hard skills in business just through like experience and outside of it. If you're going to be a chemical biologist or organic chemist, you're probably going to need to go to college. For me, my job at Codis came through friends I'd met at college. My job with Alan Stone came from a friend I met at college. And my job at MiiR, I knew the founders from college. So I met a lot of people in college, and I think that's really, really valuable for me. My wife is a high school counselor. At a public school, and so she works with high school kids daily on talking about college. And I think we're pretty aligned in that the landscape has really changed, where college is probably not for everybody, and not like WISE. It was always you go to college, you get the degree, and now, especially with the cost of it, that's not always the case. If somebody knows exactly what they want to do, and they are very confident in that, and that it's not going to change, and that career requires a degree, go for it.
Sure.
If you don't know, take a few years to figure it out. That's completely okay in this day and age with colleges, where you can come back a year or two later, or go to community college and spend 20% of what you would going to a 4-year. I think a lot of high school kids, and I certainly would not have put it together, but at the cost of college now, you're looking at 6 figures of debt, and the first job you're going to get out of college is not going to even come close to like making a scratch on like most people's student loans. So you're accumulating a lifetime of debt that is going to be really difficult to pay off in the current climate. So if you know specifically what you want to do, oftentimes that can be worth it. But if you don't, take a little bit of time. The one thing I will say emphatically is if you do want to cook for a living, do not go to culinary school.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Why not?
So culinary school is expensive. Culinary school now can be 50, 60, 70 grand a year.
Oh,
and you can take a 2-year program or a 4-year program. But when you get out of culinary school, the chef at the restaurant you will go to work for will not care that you have a degree. You will start one step above the dishwasher, regardless of if you have a degree or not.
Wow.
Because the chef is going to want to teach you their way to do everything.
Interesting. Yeah. So
if you want to be a cook, go start working at a restaurant and get the experience on your resume, meet people, get paid while you learn. Don't go to culinary school and
Interesting.
spend all this money, and then you're going to end up at a minimum wage job to start with
No
a
matter what.
very difficult way to get out of debt.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. And no matter what, it's just a matter. Time is everything too. So get in there as quickly as possible. Start working on the prep line, because you're just gonna have to spend your time there no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you got to talk it through with like friends and family if you're considering it. I mean,
Sure.
on the flip side of it too, like, the economy right now, nobody really knows what's going on. It's kind of a funky one, but
Yeah.
the job market isn't easy for people right now. And if you don't have that degree, that's definitely going to add a layer of difficulty. I'd say in a lot of careers. So
Yes.
there isn't like a black and white, but college, I think more than ever, it's not like a for certain thing. It's not required, but there's no, I think, yes or no easy answer. But more than ever, I think college isn't necessarily a requirement.
Yeah, I just held up my favorite mug that just says "It depends."
It depends. Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned soft skills that you got there. I mean, obviously the network was really important for you doing college, but what other soft skills did you acquire? And then what soft skills do you think that young people need as they head out into the workplace? What are you either seeing lacking or that they should really prioritize?
What would you say soft skills? How would you, because I feel like everybody's got a different definition of soft skills too.
Yeah, I think it's often, the ability for small talk, the ability to show up and have a great conversation with somebody, the ability to be a good listener, the ability to, self-confidence,
Yep.
making connections, any of those things.
Yeah, those are all, I think, really, really important. I think, I don't want to stereotype, but a lack of fear to like work hard. Like work is hard.
And college provides that, right? You've got to work hard under pressure and get things done in a short amount of time.
And, people feel like once they hit a milestone, like life gets easier. And that's not the case. Like, There's a great YouTube video, and you should link to it after the podcast. But
Okay.
It's the women's coach of Duke basketball, and she's given her team a pep talk on basically like life doesn't get easier. You just learn how to handle hard better.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really interesting.
That is really interesting. And
I'll text you the link. It's a really unique perspective. But I see a lot of younger people who I think I am all about like self-care and boundaries and things like that. But often I think in a younger generation, we use those things to kind of avoid hard work or difficult conversations. So I've seen younger people say, like in a sales job, my workday stops at 5, and like I will respond to customers on Monday, and like I'm like, well, in some jobs, yes, but like
Sure.
We're here to serve, and the reality is like sometimes you need to work a little bit harder, and sometimes work takes you to 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 at night, and some days it might cut short a little bit. But
yeah.
I think that soft skill of like work ethic is probably very important and seems to be a little bit lacking.
Yeah. Yeah, putting in the
Much
hard work.
skill, but
Yeah. I think it's important, though. I think it's important for people to hear. How do you think the lessons that you've learned along the way, do you think they still apply? Because I do think there's sometimes you look back and like, does today's young person deal with the same things we did? Maybe
True.
they do. How's the workplace evolved, would you say?
Yeah, that's great. I think the workplace has evolved a lot in 20 years. I think corporate culture is so much more important, which is great. In this day and age, a lot of companies really seem to take an interest and invest. That's one thing I love about MiiR is like really making sure that people outside of the jobs themselves are fulfilled, are happy, are investing in themselves. So that's great. Once again, I do think that kind of feeds into a little bit of the dilemma of too much of a focus on that and less on like, at the end of the day, we do have a job to do. And like, that's what we get paid for.
Yeah.
So I think the evolution there, one thing that I'm really scared about and intrigued by is AI and how rapidly, like I can't tell certain videos apart now from if they're real or AI. A year ago, I didn't use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT for so much, probably every day now, for how to phrase emails to certain personality types, to comparing two documents to like look for differences. So I'm very curious to see if there's a pullback from AI or if we're going to go over a cliff and what's going to happen. But to me, that's the biggest question mark moving forward is what will workplaces look like with just how quickly. I've never seen anything scale as quickly as AI. Like growing up, the internet, you'd see download speeds increase, and then Wi-Fi from hardline is like every few years. But this AI thing, I feel like it weekly.
I was going to say, every few weeks. Yeah, you're right. That was kind of a gradual increase, huh? Yeah, I think no matter what, young people need to just kind of embrace and get on board and just start to learn and know what's going on, know how to use it, and be ready for whatever is coming our way. I think you're right.
It's a great tool, but it also scares me.
Yeah, same. Well, we'll start to wrap it up here, Greg. And, I want to know, looking back, I would say sort of on the last 5 or 10 years, when you scan kind of all the decisions you've made, the things you've done, the ups and downs, the different pivots you've taken, but what would you say you've learned about yourself?
Yeah, I would say first is just understanding like who I am as a person and how extroverted I am and how much energy and fulfillment I get from being around people and engaging with people and making sure to find, for me, like learning how important it is in career to have something that feeds into that.
Yeah.
I would say I've learned that I am capable, but I'm also able to fail, and it's okay to fail. I've been afraid of failure, and I'd say I've, in some ways, quote unquote, failed, but I've learned from it and kind of grown stronger and better understood myself. So I would say kind of those are the two big things. But for me, gosh, yeah, like learning how important people are to like who I am as a person is just, it really informs kind of everything I've done and what I look to do.
Are there anything from any of those failures that you mentioned? I mean, we can easily just call failures, like you said, lessons learned. What's kind of the big lessons that you've learned from it all?
I would say if something's not working, I was always like raised to like stick it out, grit, grind. I learned that if you're doing something for a year or 2 years and it's just not like checking the box, like sometimes it is okay to say this isn't working, I'm going to try something else.
Yeah.
I've definitely learned that in like career roles, and then like even with like cooking, where I just was realizing this just does not work for me. I think for me, I've never had like a 10-year or 20-year or 30-year like career plan. And that's okay. I think I've lived a little bit more spontaneously into my career of like, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to go do that. But the common theme is like understanding that there's kind of some bigger arcs. And as I've taken those jumps, like I've realized that like building partnerships and like building relationship and selling and engaging with people, like those are kind of the common themes in a lot of the things that I've done. So even though I'm going from like sales to music to merch, and then who knows if I'll go into something new in 5 or 10 years, but that's okay. I think long gone are the days of like having to choose like one job or one career or one industry and be in it for the rest of your life. I'm completely comfortable pivoting at this point.
Yeah, and you've done a great job at it. And so I guess let's wrap this up with some advice for somebody maybe who's early in their career journey. I think we can piece together all some of the advice that you've already given us, but package it up for me, kind of these 3 things to keep in mind, if you would, that you want people to know from this talk.
I think we've talked about it a lot, but networking and like really trying to just keep in touch with people that you want to keep in touch with and people that you enjoy, and do it with the right intentions of like, yes, it's good to be in touch with people because they might be able to offer you something down the road. But I keep in touch with people that I love and that I care about and that I would want to have a beer with. So maintaining that network, even if it's a core network of 5 people and you got your 5, you're an introvert and you got your 5, you're ride or die, like being able to just like really maintain that. Or if you're an extrovert and you got a lot of friends, that's really important. In the music business, and I think there's a really good learning lesson here for life, is be prepared to get lucky. So in the music world, there are people that are so talented that never get famous.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's, you see somebody in a bar and you're like, why aren't they on the radio? This is like the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And there's a lot of arguments for it, but at the end of the day, at least in the music business, like it's a lottery, and like there's a lot of people who just never have a winning ticket for like whatever reason. And you can work so hard, and for whatever reason, you just like never get lucky and you never blow up. And that's kind of an unfortunate reality of life. But if you're prepared to get lucky, so I got really lucky meeting Alan, but I was able to perform and hang and be qualified enough to be in his band when I got my lottery ticket.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really true in life, is like, you're not always going to be able to control what lands, but what you can control is how prepared you are if that opportunity strikes.
Yeah. Great advice.
So being prepared to get lucky, like, you know, if that call comes, you better be ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's what you can control. And then I think the final piece of advice is kind of looking for the why behind the why. Like, why do you like to cook? Well, it's really creatively fulfilling. Well, why is that creatively fulfilling? Well, for me, beyond just like liking to cook and like the mechanics and the dexterity, knowing that food plays a bigger picture in people's lives and like the power of connection, like I kind of understood the why behind the why of like, why was it so fulfilling for me or intriguing to me to get into food, to be able to like kind of help people in those memories for sales. Like, yeah, the money is great, the lifestyle is good, it's fun, it's different, but like, what's the behind the why? And for me, it's like serving customers and like getting to meet people and like helping them. So there's kind of a why behind the why. So as you're like looking through career, find out like what like really makes you tick. Like, and it could be as simple as like, if you like want to go into the trades, like fantastic. Like some people like love to use their hands, and like it, you know, physically do work brings like a level of fulfillment, and we need that like more than ever, like in this age of like the trades, if anything, is like a great career to go down.
100%.
So like understanding like, yeah, the why behind the why, like it might be, you might think on the surface, you know, why you want to do something, but really trying to get at a deeper level of like what's fulfilling, what's meaningful, what brings you joy, I think is so important. And I'm still figuring it out, but it's helped me a lot in my career to just kind of understand the deeper motivations of like what keeps me excited about an opportunity or a job.
Yeah. Well, I like that you said you're still figuring it out. I feel like we all are. And I feel like your career will probably continue to evolve. It sounds like you're always evolving. So give us a little bit here as we wrap up on the horizon. What's exciting for you that you're working on that we should keep an eye out for?
Gosh, that's a great question. A lot of the stuff I do is pretty confidential. MiiR has partnered recently with the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's cool.
And they just launched, that was an account I'd been working on for a while, and they're a great team. Finally got connected with them. They just launched Wizard of Oz. You can see the movie at the Sphere, and it's incredible. Wow. I haven't seen it yet, but there's incredible special effects. It's completely 3D. It's tactile. We just launched a line of merchandise with them, and it's taken a while to kind of get it over the finish line, and it looks incredible. So if you're in Vegas and you go to the Sphere, you'll see our product on display. But that's one recently that I'm really excited and proud of.
Well, that's cool. Congratulations on that. That sounds
Thanks.
exciting. Well, I like to close it out here, Greg, where I hand over the mic to you. I call this an open mic moment, where it's your opportunity for shout outs or call outs or recommendations, apologies, whatever you want. The last minute is yours here.
Recommendations, apologies. Man, that's funny. Shout out our mutual friend Jeremy Casebeer, and just the power of networking and connecting good people with good people. Have you had him on the podcast yet?
Not yet, but I put in the comments here. I'm like, hey, Jeremy, thanks for the connection.
Volleyball player, sustainability consultant. I mean, come on.
I know. I'll follow up with him. He's on the list now.
He's a unicorn and a gem of a human being.
For sure.
So yeah, shout out to Jeremy. I would say, yeah, shout out to all my colleagues at, all companies, like past and present. It's always been like a pleasure, and like everybody I've like come across for the most part of my career has been so incredible and learned so much from. So whether it's like CODIS or Core Group or, Alan Stone, like just want to give a shout out to everybody who's been with me along the way. I've got fond memories of all the places, and so I think that would probably be my big shout out.
Well, Greg, I really appreciate all the insights, the great stories, and just you sharing some advice with us. I know it'll be really helpful to people who are building their careers. So thanks for being here, and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, man. And if anybody's if like one of the younger listeners has got questions, or by all means, like feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to do what I can to help.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll put your link in the show notes. We'll put those. I want to get that YouTube video from you. We'll put the MiiR links in there, and we'll direct people over your way. But I appreciate it. So we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Greg. Hey, everyone. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what you heard, be sure to check back weekly, subscribe to the show, and if you want to be featured on the show, come hit us up at theunderswell.com. We'd love to hear from you.